Fur braids add dimension and texture to any style. Learn how to make them in this quick tutorial. For this method, you'll need jumbo braid, fur, scissors, some pointed implement to help pull the fur out of the braids, rubber bands, and towards the end, we'll be straightening the synthetic fiber with hot water, so you'll need a way to boil some water. Let's get started. To cut your fur, we're gonna flip and start from the back side. We're only going to take about maybe 4 millimeters wide, or maybe half a centimeter, and we're gonna cut a strip. You're going to keep your scissors very close to the base of the fur, and that's gonna help you keep all of the longest pieces that you possibly can. If you take big cuts in, you're gonna be cutting jaggedly into that fur and losing a lot of that length. So just cut your strips, and then we'll be ready to start braiding that in. Once you have your fur cut, you're gonna kind of rub it down a little bit and get all of those extra loose pieces out of there so they're not in your way while you work. You're gonna separate your jumbo braid. Now, if you're making a fall, it's a good idea to put some elastic and just braid right onto your elastics. But since I'm making individual pieces, I'm just going to skip that step and I'm just going to place it around a hook. At this point, it's also a really good idea to take a look at your ends. All of this extra hair down here isn't going to be part of the braid, and it's actually gonna make it harder to braid. So I'm just going to go to the ends and cut and just get rid of that. Okay, now we're ready to start our braid, making sure that the ends are even. To begin your braid, take one of the legs and split it into two. To begin your braid, take the right-hand side if you're right-handed, or the left-hand side if you're left-handed, and split it into two. Take that side and begin your braid. Notice that we're not starting this with the fur involved. This is just to get the first few turns of your braid. Now, once you have that done, we're going to take one of the smaller legs and add a little bit of fiber from the bigger piece. So you should have two pieces that are now fairly even and one skinny piece. Keeping these tight, we're gonna keep going. Once your skinny piece reaches the center, we're going to incorporate the fur. And we're gonna do this with the backing side against the jumbo braid. So I'm just gonna pinch that at the top. And then we're going to put our first piece over the top of the fur and braid it in. And you want these turns to be fairly tight. This is what's gonna hold that fur in at the top. And this is the first time our fur is gonna cross. We just need to make sure that that jumbo braid stays along the back side. Because if the fur twists, you're going to actually see this part of it, and that's not what we want. So continue braiding. Once you have a few turns in here and that fur is incorporated into your braid, we're going to loosen up our braid passes pretty significantly. So we're just going to make larger loops. And what you'll see is this is gonna start dropping down. So you have a bigger section coming through. So these are definitely not as tight. And I'm pinching it up here and twisting to kind of make sure that that fur backer stays to the back side. And we're just going to continue braiding down using those larger size passes. My jumbo braids, my fur is turning a little bit, so I'm just pushing it in. Keeping that back side in the braid. And you can start to see that really awesome fur texture coming in. We're now at the end of our fur, so we need to tighten our passes. So we're gonna turn really tight, and what that's gonna do is gonna help hold those ends in so that that fur doesn't pull back out. Now, if you are going to do longer braids, this would be a good time to incorporate your second piece of fur so that you can continue braiding. But we're just going to stop here. Now you're just gonna add in that extra piece of fur right on top of the other one and keep your backers to your jumbo braid and keep braiding. But for us, we're just simply going to keep braiding. We're just gonna do tight passes until we finish our braid. And for us, we're gonna use a rubber band. To finish our ends, what we're going to do is we're going to remove any bulk and blockiness, and then we're gonna straighten them with hot water. So the first step is to take some scissors and get rid of these really awkward ends. So we're gonna do that by just simply slide cutting down. And we're gonna do that a few times until we are comfortable with the shape. And now we're ready to smooth them out. To unfrizz our ends, you can do this one of two ways. We're going to use a comb method. We're gonna put the end in the water and then actually take the comb and pull it through. Or you can put the end in the water and wear gloves and squeeze out the water and just smooth it down. When we do this, we're not going to be able to touch the fiber because it'll be really hot because this water has just come off of the stove. So let's get started. Just gonna put the end in. Make sure that that end is all the way covered and saturated, and put the comb in just below the band and then pull. So just pull your synthetic fiber through your comb. Make sure that you have all of your pieces smoothed out, and then just set it to the side. Make sure that you don't have any stray hairs going in directions you don't want it to, because it will heat set exactly in the literal position that it's in. So just make sure that it's how you want it and let that cool. Once it's cool, we're gonna come back through and we're going to just simply pull some of the hair out to make the fur come out of the braid. So we're just going to put our comb in and pull out any pieces that we want. And this just gives our braid that nice fur texture. For a couple of alternate patterns, we have done a couple ahead of time for you, and this you can see the nice striped fur that's coming out. And what we've done is we've pulled it out of every other turn in the braid. So you can see that these don't have any coming out, but each individual other one does. And that will make it so we can still see the pattern and it doesn't have too much fluff on the outside. Another thing that you can do is something like this. Now what we've done is we've pulled a bit of hair out of almost each turn, but we've also cut pieces so that they're actually short. So you have a nice mixed texture with the short to long, and so it kind of gives you a nice frayed effect. This completes our finished pieces. Now they're ready to be added into falls or pinned into your own hair. If you liked this video, make sure that you subscribe to our channel, or if you need braiding hair, check out drdlocks.com.